Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Brian from USA Cards, back with another Dallas card show recap. And just as a quick side note, I did change my handle on YouTube and Instagram from usa.patriot.cards to just USA Cards because I just felt like making a change, and it seems like anytime anybody would refer to me, whether I was commenting on a video, like in a live or something, or whatever, they would always shorten it to USA Cards. So I just dropped the Patriot and went with USA Cards, changed my profile pic a little bit. So it's hard to do that sometimes because when you make a drastic name change, it's like starting over a little bit. Some people, might not realize that you've done it. So I didn't want it to make a big change, but I did want to just kind of minimize the handle there a little bit. So anyway, did that. This show was a little different for me because my high school baseball team is still in the playoffs. I'm making this video from school on Wednesday morning. We're supposed to start our fourth round tonight, although there's threatening weather. So not sure if we're going to be able to get that done, but we had games on Friday night and Saturday last weekend in the third round. And so it was hard for me to get to the show at all. We play best of three series in the high school playoffs. We won Friday night, and so we had a game at 2 on Saturday. And if we would have lost that game, we'd had to play right after that again. But we luckily won that game 2-1. So I got out of there about 5, and then where I coach is about an hour from where the Dallas Card Show is. So that was a haul to get down to the show. My son and I ended up getting a room at a different hotel right down the street because by the time I was ready to book something, all the Marriott rooms were gone. So a little bit different feel this show for me. Usually I like to go all day Saturday and into trade night, but by the time we got there to the hotel, the Mavericks were just starting the game 6 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So we watched that, hung out there until that was over, and then we scooted over to the trade night. And I did make two pickups during trade night. Yeah, 2 pickups during trade night, 2 pickups at the show on Sunday when we went in the morning. That was the first time I was in the showroom. So we maximized our efforts. We were at trade night probably 2.5 hours, and then we were at the show from 9:30 till maybe 12. So I don't feel like I saw everything that was at the show, but I saw a couple cool things that I picked up, made a trade at trade night. But let me go over some of the stuff. I like to just go over, in these show recaps, all the cards that I saw, not necessarily the ones I had picked up or made a play on, but some of the interesting ones that I saw. Let's start here. I got little notes that I made because I don't have the cards in front of me. I'm at school. I'm having to try to squeeze this in because I've just been leaving at like 6 in the morning and not getting home until like 7, 8 o'clock at night. This is our last week of school. We had 8th grade ceremony on Monday. Practice went long yesterday. I'm supposed to play tonight, supposed to play tomorrow. So it's just hard for me to get into my office and make these videos. But I wanted to get one out before too much time had passed since the show, since people are looking for Dallas Card Show content on YouTube. I know I am. So anyway, let me talk about a few things. I saw these 2 monsters. I believe they were at the PWCC table. Not for sale, just kind of showing them off. Check out this 2018 Luka True NT RPA 95. Such a beautiful, iconic card. Great patch, great grade. I mean, that's got to be a 60K plus card, I would assume, especially right now with his market heating up as they move into the Western Conference Finals. And then right next to that would be, the guy he's facing in these finals, the Ant-Man True RPA BG. So I'm actually here at school, but there's no kids. They all went on a field trip, and I got to stay behind because the baseball bus is leaving at 2 and they won't be back. So definitely interesting times. The last week of school, man. Just sometimes the grades are already in, and so I'm just kind of hanging back, waiting to see if we're going to play tonight because of that weather I mentioned. But anyway, I'm always turned off by the authentic grades. Like, just go ahead and bite the bullet and see what comes up. Maybe it's a 7. That's okay. That's acceptable on a card like this. But with just the authentic, you just never know. Is there something super? My mind goes to there's got to be something really wrong with this card. But who knows? Maybe it's an 8. And again, an 8's completely acceptable in that big of a card. But some other things that were just kind of for show and not for sale. How about a 2021 Immaculate Dirk Logo Man? Just gorgeous. There's a guy there. He brings his little Dirk collection out every show, and he puts an offer sale on them. He just kind of shows them off, which I appreciate because this is Dallas after all, and there are a ton of Dirk collectors that are at the show and would like to see those cards, even if they're not able to make a play on them. I mean, that's got to be a 25K card, I would assume. But gorgeous there. And then a 2018 Kaboom Gold Dirk. Again, not for sale, just showing off. As a Dirk guy, I got to appreciate those. Just absolutely monstrous Dirk cards at the Dallas Card Show. Speaking of Dirk, this was not at the show, but I did talk to the guy a little bit. It was on eBay. I found him on Instagram, was able to have a little side combo about this colossal out of 10, still sealed National Treasures. I think it's a 2023. It's gorgeous. It's got a great patch, but the only problem is he said he wanted to be at like $2,500 on it. And the last 10, exact same set, year, everything, sealed, the whole 9, did $1,000 or $1,100, between $1,000 and $1,100. The patch was not as nice, but I don't think a better patch doubles or even beyond doubles this card. Bells are ringing. No students are here. All right, moving on. So my son is, I've talked about, his collecting habits in the past. He's more of a non-sports guy. He's into the TCG stuff. But he's dabbling into baseball a little bit. He is a baseball player. He's our number 2 pitcher. He pitched Saturday and we won in a 2-1 ball game. So anyway, he likes the Bowman. He likes the first Bowmans. And he's got George Kirby, the Mariners stud, on his fantasy team. So he wanted to kind of kick the tires on some George Kirby stuff. There wasn't a ton, but he did find this gorgeous blue color match. I got notes on this. Let's see, where did I write this down? George Kirby, PSA 10. Guy wanted 800 or best on it. However, the last PSA 10 in February did 300. And then the last Men Gym BGS 9.5, which was in May, I believe, did 135. I think the blue's probably a $350, $400 card. I mean, that's well over February comps. He wanted to argue that February was the off season for baseball and that cards, go up as the season goes on. He said that was an off season price. While he's right, there's no Major League Baseball in February. I would argue that it's close enough, right, to March spring training that it's not like that was a November comp. You know what I mean? I mean, the baseball market starts to heat up a little bit in February. So ultimately, Keaton didn't want to be anywhere near that price, so we passed. But still a good card, cool card. All right, next. Speaking of kind of what my son was looking at, he found this Scotty Barnes. Let's see, I have it written down here. Scotty Barnes, Kaboom, and 2021 Scotty Barnes Kaboom rookie PSA 10. Ask was $2,400 on that, and I think that's in line with comps ish. But I don't know. My son likes Scotty Barnes because he's weird. He likes oddball athletes and he likes weirdness, and so he's like all about Scotty Barnes because Scotty Barnes is an oddball. But I don't think that he's. I mean, he wants this card, but I don't think he wants it like $2,400 wants it. But I mean, that's roughly what this card is worth. So trying to find him a decent Scotty Barnes that he would be happy with. I did find this PSA 10 silver, and the PSA 10 silver Scotty Barnes. Pop 256. Last comp is 180. I didn't even check the price on this, but he said he didn't want a silver. So you got to find something in between a PSA 10 silver around 180 and a Kaboom rookie around 2,400. Let's see. Moving on. What else? I saw this. So on trade night, I saw this 1996 finest Kobe refractor with coating, PSA 9. I love this card. I've been after this card. It's been on my want list for a while now. With the coating, I want it with the coating. I want a refractor 9 with the coating. Exactly what this card is. Of course, Roth. He's all about making that money. So I think he had a $3,400 or $3,600 price tag on this. I don't think that's too far off of comps, but the problem with this card is that the coating lettering goes right across his face. And if you can find one that the writing doesn't go across the player's face, I think that's preferred. So, I didn't make a play. I know that Roth is going to try to squeeze the most that he can, and I don't know. If I'm going to make a deal with somebody, it's probably not going to be one of the high-profile flippers, just because I'm not saying it's impossible to get a good deal from one of those guys, but I feel like they're going to want to nickel and dime you to death, and so I didn't even ask. I asked how much he wanted for it, but if I do ever get into this card, it will be one that does not have the lettering on the face. So those were some of the cool cards that I saw. And let's get into what I picked up. I picked up, 4 cards total. The first one was a super great grab. So I'm walking down the hall during trade night, and there was a table set up right in front of where the restaurant bar area is. Really nice guy. And this 2023 WWE Prism Andre the Giant White Sparkle SSP PSA 10. It's sitting right there, no price tag on it. I said, dang, that's awesome, man. Andre the Giant. He said, isn't it? He started telling me the backstory on that. He said, I had 2 of them, bought them raw, graded them, and he said, it's a Pop 4 card. Said the first one he got 3, I think the last comp on it was, I have it written down here, 330, 360. Where did I write that down? Here we go. 330 on March 24th. So this White Sparkle PSA 10 did 330 on March 24th. And he said, but the last comp is like $84 in May, like a couple weeks ago. And he said, I would take $80 for it. He's like, I already made pretty good money on on the first sale, and he's like, if I could just basically get out of this card for the last comp, then I'd be interested in that. So I was like, sold. So I picked this up. I mean, what's not to love about Andre the Giant, PSA 10, White Sparkle, Prism? I do have a couple of first year WWE Prism hobby boxes sealed that I'm just kind of sitting on. But I didn't have any wrestling slabs other than this. So this is my first wrestling slab. Super cool for me. You know, in the 80s, Andre the Giant was huge. He dabbled in acting. He was in Princess Bride, which, what a great movie that is. Classic. So I felt like I got a steal on this card, and definitely a fun card. So walked up and down. I was with a friend at the show. He brought his son. I brought mine. So the two boys were off doing their thing, and me and my friend were kind of just walking through. We saw a lot of great things. That we kind of went all the way down the other hall that goes down in front of the main showroom and circle all the way back, and came back to about where I bought that Andre the Giant card, except on the other side of the hallway. And this guy was talking to a few tables that I was at looking at. I was there looking at the cards that were out, and this guy just walked up, and he had this 2021 flawless dual on-card auto of Randy Moss and Justin Jefferson out of 5. And he had a price on it that was, I think, in bounds. There were a lot of guys that were interested in it, but they wanted to either be a little lower than where he was cash-wise, or they wanted to be able to trade into it. And so I had to and I was like, man, I'm kind of watching him shop this card over his shoulder. And finally, when there was a little kind of break and pause in the conversation, I said, hey, man, if you don't get anything done here, I've got some interest in that if you want to take a look. So sure enough, he wasn't able to get a deal done at the table where I was. And so we walked into the restaurant, sat down at the table, and I brought out I think I had 15 cards that I brought out. And I made a mistake. So I busted all the cards out at the same time, and he got fixated on this 2018 flawless player worn Patrick Mahomes patch auto, sealed. Now, I say player worn because all Mahomes stuff is player worn. I don't know if you know that or not, but I confirmed it with this guy while we were sitting there talking. I said, does he have any game used at all? And he said, no. He's like, it's funny, though, these card companies will bust out these like game used Babe Ruth bats and jerseys, but like they can't cut up a Mahomes. I don't know why. I don't know if his game used stuff is just so premium that it doesn't make financial sense for these card companies, or for Panini specifically, to get one and make a game used Mahomes, which, man, talk about a chase card. But anyway, he got fixated on this card, and he wanted it. And he wanted to add cash to the Moss Jefferson. And I didn't immediately shut it down, but I knew I wasn't interested in that. And ultimately I told him, look, man, I don't want to trade down. If anything, I want to trade up. And he reluctantly moved off of that onto a few other cards. Just for time's sake, I'll just kind of jump to the two cards that he basically got in the deal. So I did have to add about half cash, but I was also able to unload one card in particular that didn't really mean anything to me, and that is this downtown Kevin Durant with the Warriors, Mike Baker, Black Diamond, PSA 10. So this card is worth about $700 to $800. And I had a guy on eBay recently sort of engage in conversation with me about this card. I think he offered me $875 on eBay, and I wanted to take him, to Instagram, and I was able to find him on Instagram. We had a little conversation. I wanted 900 net because of the black diamond, and I think he wanted to be at like 800. And while we probably should have gotten a deal done, I think he soured when I wasn't willing to come down to his price, and he just basically moved on. But this is a card that I've been eager to include in a deal or get off of, not because I don't like the card, but just because I don't collect Durant, and this card was literally just in my collection, hoping to be used in some type of trade, which I was able to do here. I think I got about 900 value in the trade for this Moss Jefferson, which I was happy with. And then I also got off of this Dirk and Steve Nash game used Fleer Focus patch card. Now, I kind of fibbed and told him that I was into it for 800. I was really into it for 400, but that's kind of what we do, right? We embellish. He was telling me the offers that he had on this Moss Jefferson card already at the show, cash offers, and I know he was embellishing, because essentially where we landed was about, like, the total in cash and trade that I gave him for this card was what he was claiming he could go get in cash. And I'm like, why would you sit here and trade me half trade, half cash at the same number? You could go get full cash. So a little bit of embellishing on both sides, but I'm a Dirk guy. I love Dirk, and I loved this card, and I had it for a short while. I had it for probably, 6 months. But the thing I didn't like about this card, that I didn't quite realize when I picked it up, is that it's not numbered. It's supposed to be a 1 of 1, and there is a 1 of 1 out there somewhere that's stamped. This card was, I guess it was like a duplicate, or it was made in case something was wrong with the original. I don't know why Fleer made this card, but it was made, not numbered, and then sold. I think Fleer sold a lot of the cards that it had laying around before it dissolved. But essentially, this card was backdoored. I think legally. I don't think it was stolen, but it was backdoored and sold, and it never was ever in any product. So it's not a true, basically, is what that boils down to. I don't know if he realized that or not. He did realize it wasn't numbered, and so, but he still, he said he had a Dirk. He said he had a friend who was a Dirk collector, and I'm sure he probably thought he could get around $1,000 for this. I think he gave me my full ask at 800 trade value. So I graded the Durant, and I was into the Dirk Nash for 400. So with the cash that I added, I got into this Moss Jefferson at a really good price. Now, I wanted to talk about a couple of the comps on this card. So this card was in product, was in the 2021 flawless product. Although it's double stamped on the back, it has, not stamped, but it has 2020 flawless, and then it has 2021 flawless. So I think that it was created in 2020, which was Jefferson's rookie year, but then they put it in 2021 product, which still do that from time to time in flawless and NT. And so it had both set years on the back. They've also used this card a lot as white and black box redemptions. So there's no true versions of this card available. I think there might be one of the white or black boxes for sale. But this is the type of card that, It's low pop. I think there's an out of 3 version, an out of 1 version, an out of 10 version, and an out of 5 version. So there's probably 20 of these true flawless dual autos out there of Jefferson and Moss. But what happens is the Viking collectors or football fans or whatever, they get these and then they just stash them away, and they don't come out very often of people's PCs. And so I realized that I'm not a huge Vikings guy by any means, but I'm a humongous Randy Moss fan. I love Randy Moss. Beyond that, I'm a fan of these dual autos where you'll take a team and you'll have a team's GOAT and then you'll have a team's rookie. The card that comes to mind the most for me is the Luka and Dirk dual auto. I've been after that card for ever since I saw it, and I believe it's a 2018 out of Luka's rookie year. But every time I've seen that card, it's been people want 10K for it, which it's crazy. I think one auctioned actually around 6, but this Moss Jefferson was well under that. So I don't know. I think just a chance to get into a card like this, especially at the price point I was able to get into it at, half trade, 2 cards I wasn't, really in love with. It just made sense for me. And so, yeah, I don't know what I'm ultimately going to do with this card. For now, I'm just going to enjoy it. But I'll probably use it in a trade at some point to go after something that makes like a little more sense for me in my PC. Or I might just keep it. I mean, I don't know. I like I said, I do love these team dual autos, and they're hard to find. All right, next, let's talk about my third pickup. So, third pickup happened on Sunday at the actual show. So, we were walking around, my son and I. We'd seen that blue George Kirby, and we ultimately, decided that wasn't something he wanted to go after. We saw the Kaboom Scotty Barnes out of his price range a little bit. Well, then we came to this table that had a bunch of Dynasty. And Dynasty seemed to be the theme of the show for at least a couple guys that I know. And some of the pickup videos that I've seen, collectors are showing their Dynasty cards that they've picked up at the show. I think the narrative on Dynasty right now is that it's undervalued, that it's comparable with the NT and the flawless RPAs, and it does about a tenth of the price of those. And so a lot of guys are trying to get into Dynasty. Dynasty's great, but what I really liked about this card is that it was a vertical, first of all, because I think the vertical Dynasties, they're harder to find, they're more rare than the horizontal, and they more closely match what the NT and flawless RPAs look like, right? They remind me more of the NT RPA out of 99 than the horizontal Dynasties do. All Dynasties are game used, so that's cool. And then as far as Soto goes, I think Soto's going to be a lifelong Yankee. I mean, why wouldn't he? I think they lock him up and he goes down as a Yankee. And, while he came up with the Nationals and won a ring with the Nationals, then he went to the Padres for like a year and a half. And then they traded him to the Yankees, where I think he'll be for the rest of his career. So I think looking back, if he ends up being a Hall of Fame player and like one of the true Yankee legends, I just think it's going to be an oddball to have a Padres Soto. So my son is, like I said, he's into Scotty Barnes because Scotty Barnes is an oddball. And he's into any oddball angle he can find. He wants to take it. There's a guy named, what's his name? Daniel Vogelback. And he's big and fat. He's playing for the Blue Jays this year, but he's a baseball player and he mashes the ball, but he's a big old fat guy, and that's sort of the nonsense that he has, and Keaton's all over his stuff. Wants to find all the Daniel Vogelbacks. We came up with the Cubs, and we found. See if I can find a picture of it. This first Bowman blue PSA 10 color match. I think we got it for $40, and I dare say this is one of my son's favorite cards that he owns. He just loves the nonsense, the shenanigans. So I think ultimately this Soto will be a shenanigans card, just because it's a big old Padres Soto. Anyway, that was cheap, like super cheap. So that was a cool pickup. And then lastly, I found this 2003 Upper Deck Ultimate Collection, Mark Teixeira, Hank Blaylock, game used, Rangers PC for me. But I really like these early Upper Deck Ultimate Collection dual patches. I think I paid $30 for this. I mean, but you know, as the game used patches get more and more rare, right? It seems like Fanatics is all about using meaningless jersey material that is not even associated with the player anymore. I mean, I think they're, in some instances, literally just cutting up jerseys that the player's never worn, definitely not game used, and they're just putting them in and saying not from any specific event or game. Basically, that means we got this out of our warehouse and cut it up and put it on a card. So I just think that while this Blaylock Teixeira card will never be a $200 card, I mean, I think that people will start to really put a premium on anything game used. And so if you're a Ranger guy like me, I mean, Blaylock was a huge part of the early 2000 Rangers. They never did anything, but, you know, he was right there in the mix. Great, scrappy third baseman. And, of course, you know, Teixeira was one of the best players in the American League for a few years there while we had him. Ultimately was a Yankee for a while. I think won a ring with them. Yeah, just a cool pickup for me as a Ranger fan, and too cheap to not do it. So that's it for the May version of the 2024 Dallas card show. Now the next one is interesting. It's in July, but it's on July 4th weekend. I don't know why the promoters decided to do that. Maybe it was the only weekend they could do it. They're right up against the National. It's going to be interesting to see how well attended or not well attended that show is, but we will not be playing high school baseball in July. So I anticipate being at that show in my regular format. Anyway, that's about it for the recap of the last Dallas show, and we'll see what happens in July. But thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, bye.